Hey everyone, welcome to our college basketball pick show for Saturday, February 21st. We're going to go through our top 5 picks for this weekend slate, and we got some good ones on the docket this weekend. We got Michigan Duke, we got Houston against Arizona, a bunch of 1 seeds going at it here on Saturday. We're going to break down our favorite picks against the spread for those matchups and a couple more. But before we do that, I want to bring to your attention a special offer that we are running here at Pool Genius. We have partnered with the fine folks over at Novig. They are offering a 100% deposit match up to $25 if you are a new user. And if you're located in one of these states that I'm pulling up here on the screen, one of these states in blue. And a really cool thing about Novig, Jason, is that sometimes they operate in states where FanDuel and DraftKings are not, such as the state that I'm located in, Minnesota, which does not have access to your traditional retail sports betting apps. So I use Novig as my primary place to, get down some action on college basketball picks, props, NFL, NBA, futures, what have you. And then I know you down in Missouri, you do have FanDuel and DraftKings that just became legal a few months ago, but I know you use Novig to sort of line shop. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think there's usually good offerings on the spreads that I want. For those that, at Novig, you can have different people offering different numbers, but you can usually find a good number on the college basketball games, one that's better than maybe the VIG that you would be paying at some of the bigger books.
Yeah, and so you can try that out by using the promo code POOL. You can get a 100% deposit match up to $25. Really cool to check out the site, see what they're all about, and get a little bit extra money while doing it. So we urge you to take advantage of that special offer because we're definitely going to be using this app for leading up to March Madness, the conference tournament week, and beyond, whether it's game picks, futures, what have you. So, with that, Jason, let's get into the picks for this weekend on Saturday. Last week we went 3-2 on this video, which is, respectable performance.
We'll
Let's
take it.
try, like, if we go 3-2 every week, I'm cool with that. But let's get into the top 5 and our first game that we have here on the board. We're going to go over to the SEC. Tennessee plus 2.5 at Vanderbilt. And I have a pick on this game. I'm just going to come out and say it. I like Tennessee here, despite being on the road in sort of a rivalry game. I actually kind of like the Vols overall in their profile, and I really want to get your take on this because I know you've been studying them in sort of their broader sense of their tournament aspirations and where they fit into the bracket. I know you have them as a number 5 seed in the latest bracket report that you put out. I think they could be kind of a sneaky team come up conference tournament time and then into March Madness, depending on their draw. But they are a strong defensive team. They're really good at rebounding. And I think they're going to have a massive advantage on the glass in this game because Vanderbilt is not that great of a rebounding team. Vanderbilt really relies on an efficient offense to get the job done, which has really served them well this season. But I think Tennessee can disrupt that on Saturday and pull off the outright victory. I kind of like Tennessee on the money line, getting plus money odds. And I have this in my notes here. The Vols have been an underdog twice this year, and they won both of those games outright. One of them came November against Houston. They won that outright. And then in January, they took on Alabama as a 4-point dog on the road, won that outright. So I like them to get the job done here again.
Yeah, so here's my thoughts on this game. I think my question would be relative to where the line's at right now, 2.5. I think it's a good number for Tennessee. JP Estrella missed the last game, and I think this number is pretty fair if he is out again. He had just moved into the starting lineup about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He had injuries last year, didn't really play much. And he missed the last game. I believe it was a foot injury. And so I don't know his status. I don't think, it's college basketball. Unless they're out for a long period of time and you find that out, you're never quite certain when guys will come back into the lineup. So that would be my one hesitation here. Like, this line could move a little bit either way, depending maybe where that ends up right at tip-off, what news comes out. I would definitely like him if he's playing, and I think if he's playing, this number should be closer to probably a pick'em, or Tennessee, maybe even slightly based on Vandy's form lately. I do think this is a great matchup for Tennessee right now. Vandy has their own injury issues. They are not playing as well lately. They came, they were probably up there with Florida as a conference favorite a month ago, and they've been on a little slide. They just lost at Missouri, almost came back. We're down big. We're getting handled by a physical Missouri team that has size. This Vandy team, that's the thing, is they've got some injuries. They don't have the size, and I think Tennessee can beat them up a little bit. But how deep is Tennessee? Do they stay out of foul trouble on the front line, especially if Estrela's out?
Yeah, and that's going to be a big difference in this game, because that front line, like I said before, is the difference for Tennessee, or what I perceive to be potentially the difference in this game. So let's go to our second pick here, and this is a pick from the model that we have. Our model is showing, of the spreads we have available to us here on Friday afternoon, it likes Houston -5.5 the most out of any against Arizona. And it's worth noting, take this with a grain of salt, Jason.
Yeah.
But last week on Saturday, the model hit all 4 of its top picks. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to do that every single week. We know the model can go up and down, just like all of us. But how do you feel about the model's pick of Houston -5.5, almost 2 possessions there?
I mean, that number is what it is because of Koa Pete's injury, right? It's been pushed up, and we should have gotten the model. I know we had the run with the Saints and the Beads. We need the model to maybe make an appearance if it gets hot. I will say, like, the people that are out there, it's quite the treat that the model actually has a pick on the top game of the week.
Yeah, that usually doesn't happen.
You make fun of me for liking some of these games that nobody's heard of, but the model does too. And because there's like 170 games on Saturday, the fact that we're getting the top pick on a number 1 seed versus number 1 seed matchup is a big upset on the money line. So I like Houston to win this game. This number's been pushed up because of the injury. I think this number's got about a 3-point adjustment on Pete being out. I think this line would be closer to 2.5 to 3, because these teams are pretty similar at full strength, I think. Houston, both national title contenders, and it's in Houston. So it's just which way does Arizona go? They're deep enough to play without Pete. They obviously lost the game to Tech when he got hurt, and still not a great performance midweek. So of course they lost 2 before that. So I don't mind the pick. I mean, this Houston team, I think, is one that I think will trend up as we approach this tournament, and they're going to be back in contender status. They've kind of been the kind of under talked about team, like, that hasn't been viewed as a top 4 team necessarily in all the brackets and stuff until now. But I mean, they had the lead on Iowa State. They just didn't make the plays late, but they went into a very tough place and probably should have won that game. So I don't mind this pick, because I do think right now, with Pete out, Houston is the better team.
Right. Okay. And moving on to the game of the week. It's hard to believe that is not the game of the week. We actually have one a little bit better between 2 potential number 1 seeds. They're actually number 1 and 2 in our team rankings, overall predictive rankings. It's Michigan against Duke. This game's going to be played in Washington, D.C. on a neutral court. Michigan, of course, coming off that convincing road win at Purdue on Tuesday, favored by 2.5 points. And I'm kind of inclined to take the Wolverines and the points here, Jason. I mean, both teams, obviously, this is neck and neck as it's reflected here in the spread. But I think Michigan's offense is a little better. They're a little better at protecting the rim. rebounding, what have you. And they also have a little more depth, especially in scoring potential than Duke has. Duke, I think, really comes and goes with Cam Boozer, which obviously not a bad problem to have. He's one of the best players in college basketball. But I think Michigan can just get it done from several different angles. And I think that's going to put them over the top here. The only thing that gives me pause of this Michigan team, and I'm not saying this just from like looking at this game and this game only, but the overall tournament and their national title aspirations is Michigan turns the ball over quite a bit. They rank 240th in college basketball in turnovers per game. That could really be their Achilles heel if they run into tournament time. They're turning the ball over in a tight game, and the other team is just hitting threes and what have you. That's kind of how I can see them get bounced. But, they've been winning, and they've been winning handedly despite having that issue. I think they have enough balance to beat Duke in this game. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me here?
I mean, Michigan's the better team. I think these are the top two teams by resume. I think the thing, I think this is a fair line on just like the entire season. 2.5 is probably about right, but we've seen this Michigan team with, I would say, more upside. Like they've destroyed some teams in some of these top matchups in a way that we haven't seen. So to me, their A game is a higher level of A game. So if they harness that in this game, I think they win this game. I think they cover the points. Now, will they do that? But I think this Michigan team is a better team by at least 2.5 points, and they're going to be up for this game. This is a key game. I think the winner of this game, I think Michigan is the number 1 overall seed right now. They're the heavy favorite to be. If they win this game, it's almost certainly going to be the case. If Duke wins, I think it is up for grabs on who gets that top overall seed in the bracket. But these are my top 2 teams in the bracket right now on opposite sides as we enter this game.
Yeah, before we move on, I want to get your take. I think this is worth going over here. As I was looking at this game, I noticed that we have Michigan in our predictive rankings at 29.2 rating. Yeah. Obviously, that could be adjusted and things can change come tournament time. Last year, I looked this up. We had Duke. Remember how dominant they were? Yeah. They were the number 1 overall seed with Cooper Flag at 27.1. So we're putting Michigan a substantial amount higher than Duke. Do you think that's going to hold? And do you think that's about where Michigan rates out based on their body of work that we've seen up to this point?
I mean, they've been pretty dominant. So here's what I would say on that. I think you were comparing Duke to the same point in time last year. Yeah. Is that right? Or just entering the tournament?
Let me double check. I believe that was entering the tournament. So like, obviously that's adjusted.
Okay. And we may have had an adjustment on the injury because Flag did have a little injury, that uncertainty coming in.
Right.
Similar. Here's what I would say on Michigan. Because I was slightly worried, are they this year's Auburn? Which is not a bad thing to be. Auburn went to the Final Four. They then lost to Florida. Auburn was probably the best team for the first 3.5, 4 months last year. Yeah. But they were also a very veteran team, and same with this Michigan team. So where Duke was a young team that was really emerging as the season went on. Obviously, they blew that game in the Final Four also. But the Auburn team, by the time we got to the NCAA tournament, wasn't probably the best team. And in fact, Florida had passed them and won the SEC. I was worried a little bit about Michigan if that would be the case, but they've had a little midseason lull where you might have thought, oh, either they're bored or they were just hot in November. Because remember, 3 of their best performances came out in Vegas in a short stretch where they just destroyed Gonzaga and Auburn, and I forget who else they played. But so I was a little worried about that. But yeah, Michigan is elite in our metrics for even 1 seeds, and we're seeing that more and more. I don't want to bore everybody with a little stat talk, but it is something we talked about when David and I were doing preseason ratings. It's capture all this transfer stuff. They've got Yaxel Lindenborg, who's a transfer. They've got transfers that came in who are older, have more experience, and they're good players. You've seen them play elsewhere. With all these transfers where these guys are moving up, these teams are building almost super rosters, the split between the top teams and like the average or the mid majors that are going to be in the tournament is just grown and grown. And that's why we see Duke last year well over 27, Michigan at 29. Their raw rating, by the way, which is just their game scores for this year, no priors, what we call priors, not regressing it to what we thought preseason, 32. I mean, they've been crazy, dominating people. That's why I say the upside's there on Michigan, I think, in this game. Like, their best game has just destroyed some really good teams, and that could happen. If it's going to be a double-digit win, I think it's Michigan. Could Duke win a close game? Sure.
Right. And speaking all that transfer talk and everything, now we're going to get into our next matchup, and we might get some transfers once the season is said and done here for the home team, UCLA, because their coach is being, let's just say a little problematic towards players, media, everything. But you found this game that you really liked the line, and it's Illinois is the side that you're looking at laying here, -6.5 points on the road. Go ahead, explain this one.
Did you just yell at me? I think you raised your voice at me.
Yep, I raised my voice.
Wow.
I'm so sorry. Okay. Please don't eject me from the game.
I could give a rip about all that. No, I made my lines. You told me what the line was. I was like, man, I had this one priced at 9.5. And that's based on a few things. And I'm not even getting into narrative street. We'll talk about what you just talked about, but this is just like my pricing on these teams, power rating. UCLA down a little bit over the course of the season, certainly, but not significantly. I've got them rated similar to their overall power rating. Illinois, I think, is better than their overall power rating by a point or so, maybe 2, because, they're probably at as good a health as they've been in a while in terms of who's going to be playing this game. Kylan Boswell came back 2 games ago against Indiana. They put up 2 great performances in a row because he missed. The last game he missed was the Wisconsin game that they were upset. Probably their worst performance in the last 2 months. And he missed that one, but also Andrej Stojakovic missed that game unexpectedly. He worked back and played 17 minutes, didn't start, but did play against USC in a game they dominated. So they've already been on the West Coast. They already played USC. I mean, to me, this is like 2 opposite ends of the spectrum here. I think this Illinois team is on the short list of teams I could see winning the national title at full strength. I think they're at full strength for this game. So to me, this is an elite team going against a team where things may be coming apart at the threads, as you talked about. And I didn't even take that into account in my handicapping and put it in 9.5. I just think Illinois is that much better. And then you throw that stuff in. How's this team going to respond to him ejecting his own player for what to me looked like going up for a block? I mean, it's performative nonsense. Yeah. I could see that like impacting this locker room, and the way he's acting suggests he's a little bit high. I mean, he's always been this way, but he's ramped it up to an 11. Which is where they're hoping to be seated if they can get in the tournament, because they're trending to not be. So I like laying the points here with Illinois. These Eastern Europeans are going to be comfortable, traveling all over. They don't mind heading out to LA. So that's Coach Brad Underwood and his roster of European players, size, everything you want against the UCLA team that's just been trending downward.
Yeah, and I was just looking at your bracket. By the way, you put out a bracketology video every week. Go ahead, check that out if you haven't already at the Pool Genius YouTube channel. But you have UCLA as the last 4 in, playing in the play-in game against Miami, Ohio, as things stand today. Obviously, they are firmly on the bubble. They probably need this game, but at the same time, all those reasons you laid out, all the psychological factors, plus the line in this game. I gave you that line. I saw it on DraftKings. And then you're like, what? No way. And I had to recheck it like 5 different times to be like, did I look at the wrong line? Like, did I have the right matchup? Sure enough.
I hope somebody doesn't know something like we're going to show up and they're going to be like, 3 Illinois players have the flu and they're not playing. right?
It might be. I mean,
So take that with a grain of salt here, but
yeah, as far as we can see, Illinois
yeah,
-6.5 looks nice.
yeah, Illinois -6 because I mean Ken Palm would just without taking into anything account would have it at 7. We would have it at about 8 on our power rankings, and I think all the roster trends lean toward increasing that number even more.
Right. And let's get into our last pick. We have a couple of them here. We had a tough time narrowing it down. I'm going to introduce the pick that we decided on because we want to take a dog here, and it's a home dog in Villanova +1.5
Mhm.
against UConn, which UConn is. I don't know what UConn's doing right now. I don't know which version of them we're going to see in this game.
Right.
Obviously, a couple of disappointing performances in the last week and a half. They lost at home to Creighton on Wednesday. They've dropped 2 of their last 4. One of those losses was to St. John's as well. Meanwhile, Villanova has won 6 straight. They won in overtime at Xavier on Tuesday. I mean, I know we're siding with Villanova here, but the biggest question I have in this one is will UConn wake up or are they just gonna keep doing this sleepwalking thing that they're doing?
Yeah, I like Villanova. We talked about it. I mean, I like getting the points because you're getting points. I have this one as a pick 'em. I have this one dead up as a pick 'em in Villanova. This Connecticut team is not trending the right direction. A bad midweek. Maybe they bounce back. Yeah, I mean, you may be running the teeth of it, but you know what? The longer term trends on this team, they've been cited as a 1 seed up until this week. They were minus number last week when we looked on FanDuel to get a 1. I had them as a 2 in my bracketology projection even last week, but that's because their power rating was lower anyway. They were outside the top 5. Now they're well lower. I mean, on KenPom, they're 13. On our site, they're outside the top 10. This is just a team that is going the opposite direction of some of these teams that have won national titles in recent years for UConn, where at full strength, they were really starting to peak as we got into March. And so I have my concerns here. I like Villanova.
Right. And I want to alert you that if you are looking for more college basketball picks throughout the weekend, Jason will be plugging them in our Discord. That link is in the description on YouTube. I will go ahead and put it in the comment section too. So you can go over there. Definitely join our Discord. It's free. Jason's putting his thoughts almost every day of the week on college basketball picks, breaking down the different lineup combinations and everything to see where the teams are trending and where the value is. Can you give us a little taste of anything else that you see on this college basketball Saturday that you might be plugging over there in Discord?
Yeah, I'm strongly considering Georgia. This is at home against Texas. The short line, 1.5. Georgia is favored in what I just saw at FanDuel. This Georgia team has had some injuries recently. They had been trending downward, but then they won midweek at Kentucky. But here's the thing with Georgia. Let me find them here and pull up their roster. Their point guard or their shooting guard, Jeremiah Wilkinson, their leading scorer, missed 2 games. He missed the Florida and Oklahoma losses. He was back for Kentucky, came off the bench, but added, I believe, 19 or 17 points. So he's back in action and he's scoring again. Yeah, he had 19. Blue Kane had 20. He had 19. They were the 2 leading scorers. So he was out the 2 games before that. They've had some other injuries and roster mix-ups. So I kind of like Georgia here on being undervalued. If you look at the overall recent form, some of that is injury related. And I like catching them when they got more people back winning at Kentucky against Texas. So I think these teams are a lot closer. I think these teams are closer on a neutral court. And I like getting a low number here. Now, I say all that. I do have concerns about the matchup in terms of Texas physicality. Texas does have the better size. This Georgia team has struggled sometimes with size. They are not the biggest team in the SEC, more of a guard and wing oriented team. But I like it on both what I talked about. I think they're undervalued. I think you're getting some value there. And I also think it's a revenge spot. They lost by 20 at Texas. And so you're getting a low number on a revenge spot. So I'm leaning Georgia with that under 2 points right now.
All I have to say is now we laid out our 6 favorite picks here with that Georgia pick as the 6th one. I'm happy that you snuck in that Villanova as an underdog because otherwise I'd be very worried about you, Jason. It's not like you to take mostly favorites, which 5 of these 6 are favorites, and I just want to check on you.
Just go with the numbers. Less so than in NFL. Like NFL, I would be like, what is Jason doing? If he took 5 favorites in a row, that would be very out of character. College basketball, sometimes you got to lay the side that you think is superior, even if you're laying a number. I mean, midweek I gave out New Mexico minus 28 against Air Force.
Who are you?
Well, and they won by 37 because Air Force is that bad. Which is why I gave it felt bad giving out a minus 28, but man, sometimes you're just like, yeah, that team's so bad, you got to do it.
Yep, and that's going to do it for our college basketball pick show for this Saturday, February 21st. I would encourage you to like and subscribe to our Pool Genius channel if you have not already. Got a lot of good stuff coming up here. Like I said, Jason's doing his bracketology every week. We're going to be putting out some March Madness bracket tips videos starting next week. Anything else you want to plug in there, Jason, that we're putting out on the YouTube channel and things to look forward to as we get closer to March here?
Yeah, I mean, just keep checking for more content. We're planning more stuff as we approach March. May have some other interesting things. Going to try to line up a couple, talking to interviewing people. I can't make promises yet. We don't have a specific lineup, but we're going to try to get some good interviews as we head towards Selection Sunday on things related to the NCAA tournament. And then we'll have our picks, our bracketology, and all of our various breakdowns as we approach the tournament.
Yep. So that's going to do it for us this time. Go ahead, like and subscribe to get access to all of that and see what we have coming out in the coming weeks. So thanks so much for watching and good luck with your college basketball picks.